Something wrong with the sound.
All right. Of course, technology. Here I am sitting here talking to myself, and none of y'all can hear me because I was all muted the entire time. All right. All right. So we're going to start again. How about that? Can you hear me now? All right. Perfect. All right. So we're going to go ahead, and therefore we can leave on time. And if you would, just make sure that you have your cameras on so that I can see your beautiful faces. I've not had a chance to go around and see everybody today, so this is a great opportunity for me to see you now. All right, so before we get into our agenda, we're going to go ahead and start with our celebratory things. We're going to start off with passing of the treasure chest. So Miss Tebow was the last one to receive the treasure chest. She is, of course, with us right now, but she does not have a microphone on her computer, so she asked if I would kind of announce it for her. So Ms. Tebow shared with me that this individual has been very helpful since her time here, has helped her kind of navigate getting to know the families, get to know the students, and just do a lot of things behind the scenes that maybe not a lot of people have an opportunity to see. So the person that Miss Tebow is passing the treasure chest to is Miss Latanya Moore. So congratulations, Miss Moore. Miss Tebow will be giving you the treasure chest full of some goodies as soon as possible. Okay? COVID related and safety as always. All right. All right, let me make sure I've got a couple of questions that came through the chat bar, so let me make sure I'm addressing them before I go too far ahead. All right. So I'm going to pass it over to Miss Mayberry at this time.
Hey, guys. So the staff spotlight for this week on Mondays and the PLCs that we had this week. I know that we sort of have shifted our focus with PLCs with doing more planning during the time. And I know that's new for everybody, but just want to give a big old shout out to first grade and their PLCs this week. They had an agenda that was like, I mean, it was very, very, very helpful to us as a leadership team to be able to look at this agenda before we even met face to face for PLCs. So we had a really great idea of what sort of their thought process was before they came to PLCs. And it was just neat to be able to see the different ways that the three different teachers were thinking and then bringing all that together. And so just wanted to give them a shout on that. I know that the leadership team was very thankful for this resource. And if Miss Harris and Miss Peaks, if y'all want to unmute yourself and just sort of walk us through just for a few minutes on what led you to this document and how you found it to be helpful for you as well.
So the top part is the actual agenda, and we just list like the standards and the topic. So that just kind of outlines what we're going to do, when we get in PLC. The bottom part is, it just serves as a graphic organizer for us. It helps us organize our ideas, and each teacher gets a column so that we can all contribute our ideas prior to PLC. And it also gives us a chance to kind of see what everybody's thinking before we go in there, and we can kind of piggyback off the things that we saw before PLC. So the rows in it just kind of align with the things that are asking of the learning focus plan. So we kind of go ahead and think about everything prior to going into PLC, and that just kind of eliminates or at least reduces that awkward silence when you're sitting in there and nobody really wants to say anything or you don't know what to say. So it just gives us an opportunity to see each other's ideas, and like it's a visual, and we create it during PLC, and like we have the whole week to kind of work at our own pace and as we have ideas, add them. And it also allows for us to see other people's ideas so we don't repeat So we're not like redundant, so that everybody brings a different idea so that we can collaborate and basically just find a way to put all of our ideas together in one cohesive area.
Awesome. Ms. Beeks, did you want to add anything to that?
I think she did a wonderful job. I think she added everything that I would have said.
Okay. Well, again, first grade, thank you for going, for sharing this with us and then speaking with us today. So you are first grade, all three of you are our staff spotlight.
Thank you.
And to kind of just add to that, this template right here is really great K4, right? When you have three or more individuals coming together trying to plan things, everybody's different experiences and different levels at the same time. So being able to kind of, as Ms. Stanley would say, throw up on a page, throw up all your ideas on a page. As y'all can tell, this took a lot of planning before our PLC. An hour goes very, very fast in our PLCs. So having all this stuff outlined is very, very beneficial. My challenge for everybody else kind of listening is trying to do something very similar to this with your PLC. As we know, time is of the essence this day and age. And in PLC, trying to make sure that we maximize all of our time is very, very important. So as you can see here, the links that they have in here, found out that Miss Harris loves food trucks, by the way. So if y'all ever want to share something with Miss Harris, she loves a good food truck. So all of their stuff was in here, and it's categorized, as you can see, what text they're going to be looking at. They're activating, summarizing strategies. They all came together beforehand, and they were able to kind of put all their ideas together. And that was a very quick and seamless PLC on Monday. And all of them were, but that was a good template that we saw that we kind of wanted to share with everybody else. So, so kudos to first grade. All right, so I saw some chats, some questions in here. Let me make sure. Yes, Miss Raphael. So like Miss Mayberry said, or Mason Jackson said, we will be sharing the PowerPoint after this, and we'll have that in there for everyone to see. Yep. So that would be a great encore. Teachers can support and add along the way. That would, by all means, is always a great thing to do. All right. Moving right along, we have two other individuals that we would like to celebrate real quick. So for those of you that did not know, Miss Polly was going through national boards this past year, and Miss Polly was actually awarded national boards. She actually found out that she got it in December. She did not decide to tell me until January. Shame on her. But no, she was awarded national boards this past December. So congratulations, Miss Polly. And Miss Dubis, she actually renewed her national board. So she is already national board certified, and she went through the renewal process. So she was actually, we were able to celebrate her as well. As most of y'all know, national boards is a great honor. It is nothing to take lightly. I share with these two ladies today that both my mother and my sister went through national board certification. And my mother, I was in high school, middle school at the time when she was going through national boards, and it was like living in hell with my mother, because she would not let me go upstairs where all of her stuff was. I could not go up there because all of her materials were up there, and we ate bologna sandwiches for a good solid year because we did not have any cooking. So it was tough on me as a high school boy, but it's definitely tough on the individual going through this process. So congratulations to these ladies, well respected and well deserved at the same time. All right. So moving on into our agenda. As you can see here, we got 4 items that I just kind of want us to briefly go over. Just kind of highlighting the next 2 weeks. Really, we're down to a week and a half now. Miss Mayberry is going to go a little bit into attendance, just kind of what we've seen. And then EOG review plans. EOG review plans is nothing new. If you've been here for a while, you know we've been doing EOG review plans for the past 2-3 years. So we are going to talk a little bit about that. And then number 4 down there is just miscellaneous. There's a bunch of housekeeping related things that I much rather have a conversation with you about than just put out in an email. I know some of y'all would probably rather have it in the email, but I just want to make sure that I answer any questions along the way. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our agenda. All right. So the next 2 weeks. So first of all, I want to say how much I appreciate everybody in this building as our board member, and Ross on Friends puts it, we had to pivot very, very quickly. So Monday night, you all had to shift within hours, less than 24 hours to virtual. So I recognize that is a difficult thing to do in any profession. Y'all all took it with a grain of salt. You were able to do it wonderfully. And first of all, I just want to say I'm very appreciative of that for y'all. I sent some things out Monday night, and I just want to kind of hit on some things. Y'all have had some good questions come up, and I just want to make sure that I'm available to answer any questions that you have about this virtual period going forward, okay? So the first thing, I just kind of want to talk about some notable changes that we've had to do with our calendar. So this link right here, I'm not going to click it, but this is our Mapping Out 2021. That is the calendar that I have shared with you already, that you can kind of see from now until the end of the school year, kind of our events that we have planned. Kind of some notable changes that reflect this virtual adjustment. We did decide to move Awards Day back 1 week. So it was going to be this, not this upcoming Friday, but the next Friday. We just moved it back until we are face-to-face. So I believe it's the 29th that we moved it to. I've been talking with Miss Moore a little bit today and previous days. We're going to get some more information out. Awards Day, to kind of give you an idea, will take place in your classroom. We won't do the normal whole grade level span or school coming together for Awards Day. We will keep it kind of simple just because of COVID in the classrooms and such, but we will kind of have some virtual aspects to it so that we can kind of have our families feel like they're a part of it. And because of that, I wanted to be celebrated. I wanted to celebrate the students in person. Some of them have worked hard this year, so I want to be able to celebrate them in person versus virtually. So we do have that scheduled, and we just put that a week back. That gives us some time to plan. K4 teachers, your reading assessments, we were going to start your MOI reading assessments. It was actually supposed to start, I think, yesterday. So we just pushed that back a couple of weeks. So we've pushed that back to start on the January 26th. That also gives us some opportunity to communicate with you the expectations. So since we pushed the start date back 2 weeks, we are pushing the end date back 2 weeks. So you're looking at a good solid month still for your MOI reading assessments. We are doing that because we realize the importance in every grade level, not just K4, but the importance of knowing where our students are and where we want to go with them and where we need to go. So that's why we've kind of pushed it back so that we can hopefully do that in person instead of doing this virtually. MOI PDPs, I sent out the individuals that I have on my caseload for MOI PDPs. If you would just go ahead and start signing up. Miss Mayberry will be reaching out to her individuals as well. We're going to try to go and get MOI PDPs done these next 2 weeks since we have a little bit more flexibility with virtual time. Beginning teachers, this is just for beginning teachers right now. We have been given the directive to make sure that we are continuing ahead with our observations. Beginning teachers, y'all have the most, your deadline for your next observation is the one closest to us right now. So we unfortunately will have to do some of those virtually. Ms. Mayberry is scheduled to do the next round of BT observations. She may not get to all of you, but she will be doing those. She'll be reaching out to to y'all to schedule those. I know it's not ideal to have an observation virtually, and she is aware of that. She knows the different complexities that are going to be present in those observations, but we do have to still keep with our schedule. Okay. So the next bullet there is the Pactolus community event that was going to be scheduled for tomorrow, of course, from 4 to 6. After surveying y'all, talking and seeing your responses, we postponed it, and the new date is January the 28th. So that will be the week that we return back face to face. So kind of let me explain to you a little bit about the thought process of doing it on January 28th. And this was my thought process that I shared with our sponsors, and they said, as long as it's okay with the staff, then it's okay with us too. So kind of let me explain to you my thought process with doing it January 28th. I realize that the surge and probably COVID is not going to magically disappear by January 28th. I 100% realize that. But like I shared with y'all in the email, that there are a lot of items that we have collected that really need to get into the hands of our families, such as gloves and hats and socks that we know now during the cold months is much needed. Water bottles. We've got water bottles that are reusable water bottles that we really want our families to have and be able to bring to school with them. So there's food involved, a lot of other things. So we wanted to schedule it, the week that we return back from virtual period. That would give us a good time to kind of figure some things out. Also, it would give us a good 3 days or so, 4 days to communicate with our families, let them know flyers and all those good things, get that out to our families and be cognizant of that as well. Another reason why I asked to do it on January 28th, as many of y'all know, the ECU is opening back up next week. Not sure when Pitt Community College is going to be opening up, but I imagine it's around the same time frame. So if we look back in the fall and we look at and see how fall semester for ECU played out, we know that within a month they were closed. And there were clusters, there were spikes, there was a lot of things going on that just caused them to shut down, that they just could not overcome. So I'm afraid that if you look at the time, if you look at the calendar, if ECU opens up next week, 14 days later, which is when you will probably start to see some cases start to pop up from ECU. Hopefully they are able to manage it a little bit better than what they did this past fall. But if they don't, we would expect 14 days out from next Monday is when you're going to start to see some large spikes. This January 28th date is going to be before we see those large spikes from the ECU community. So that's kind of my thought process. We're going to, without a doubt, have it on the 28th. I did talk with the sponsors. We may, if it becomes an event that, or the community is just, COVID is just becoming more of a concern than it is right now. It's already a big concern, but if it continues to grow in concern, we may look at scaling back and just have a kind of a drive-through, let families get the food, the gloves, the water bottles, the books, those things like that. So just know that this January 28th, go ahead and mark it on your calendar for certified and classified. If all certified and classified, if you will kind of hold that date and that time period off and kind of be prepared to participate during that event. And if we need to look at scaling back because of COVID cases in the community, we will look at that if we need to. Okay, so that's kind of my thought process. As always, I'll let you know. We'll just kind of track and see how things go between now and the 28th. So think about that. If you have any concerns, any questions, or any comments about the community event, by all means, reach out to me, send me an email, talk to me, and just kind of voice your concern. I think I know, some concerns out there, but if you have some other concerns along the way, by all means, just let me know. Okay. The community event, if we do decide to go full scale, there are different roles that you can sign up for based off of your comfort level. Okay. I did send out on Monday or Sunday the list of measures that we've got in place that will hopefully protect and keep people as safe as possible. But there are also different roles that you can participate in as well based off your comfort level too. Okay. That is if we decide to continue full scale. The last thing on this slide right here is keep in contact with your families. I know y'all already are, but keep in contact and let them ask them that when somebody in their family is getting sick or their kids are getting sick, just to let you know or let us know. The reason being is we know that during this 2-week virtual period that people are still getting sick, kids are still getting sick. And there's a quarantine period there of 10 days that if they get sick next Friday, 10 days, we don't want them showing up to school on Monday. We have seen with our younger students that they get sick for a day or a couple hours, and then in no time they are back to normal. A recent positive case that we've seen with the kid is that they were sick, throwing up. Within a couple of hours, they had thrown up, a couple times. And then later on or the next day, they were perfectly fine, perfectly normal. So this is a concern of mine that even though kids are at home and they're not coming into the building, that they're still getting sick. COVID is still spreading out there. So we're going to do some things from the school level to communicate with our families just to make sure that they are talking with us and letting us know if kids are getting sick over this 2-week virtual period. But if you can kind of help out with any way possible, that will help us out. Like I said, if a kid starts throwing up next Wednesday, they either need to go get tested or quarantine 10 days. Well, 10 days, is they're not out 10 days. And if they decide to come to school, then that puts us all at risk. So all I'm saying is if you can kind of help communicate with your families to let them know that they need to stay in contact with us, even though they're virtual right now, just to keep everybody safe, just to let us know. We have found out that kids tell the truth a lot more so than our parents. So shooting the kids emails and saying, hey, how's everybody doing? And we'll do some things from our level to from the school level. Okay. Anybody have any questions related to what is on this PowerPoint slide? Okay. All right. I'm moving right along. Just some kind of things one thing that I wanted to bring to your attention, of course, iReady right now. We know that the month of January is the time for testing. But iReady is the MOY diagnostic. We started that the day we got back from Christmas, and it is still continuing on. Not sure if there will be an extension for iReady or not. So iReady was supposed to end, I think the 29th of January. Don't quote me on that date, but I believe it was the 29th. So that was the last school day of the month of January. So we just need to make sure that our students are completing that. If you will note this little bit right here, we need to make sure our students complete. As a county, Pat told us had the lowest completion rate for any school, K-8, for the BOY iReady. It wasn't the worst by much, but needless to say, we did have the lowest completion rate for the county. So I'm very much a competitive person, and I do not like to be at the bottom, as many of y'all are the same way. So we just need to make sure that that is being completed. I also recognize that we're in a 2-week dead period or virtual period, that it is now harder than ever to get students to do work. A lot of them saw a 2-week virtual period as a 2-week vacation. So here's what I need you to do. And then this is in red in here. Whenever you're communicating with your families, whether it be a whole class communication or whether it be small individual, you got Michael that hasn't completed his MOY yet, if you call the parent, if you send an email, Class Dojo, whatever, if you would document that for me. That is going to be important for our MOY and our EOY diagnostic. Just document that you've made this communication. I understand, the county understands that when you have virtual going on, there's only but so much you can make a parent do, but we just need to make sure that we document that we've had this communication with the families. Talk with the ICs. We're going to kind of look and see what our completion rate is on January the 15th, the 20th, and the 22nd. Just kind of see how we're progressing to make sure that going forward we complete our iReady to the best extent possible. Okay. I know completing iReady at home virtually right now is not the best scenario, but remember, my challenge to everybody is we're going to focus on what we can control, right? Does anybody have any questions about iReady? So Ms. Brinkley said, students who are on iReady list but not actually enrolled, will those be counted in our completion rate? There are two questions with 8th graders. I'm guessing, Ms. Brinkley, if you don't mind unmuting and just make sure that I understand. So you're saying that there's a couple of students that are on your 8th grade roster for iReady, but they're either not enrolled or they're not participating completely. Is that?
Yeah, so one we believe is at a program at A.G. Cox, and one is one never officially showed up in any of our classes, like from welcome, but they're on our roster. So like that kind of stuff.
Okay. So what we'll do, and I'll talk with the ICs, we'll kind of look and see based off your iReady list or your iReady roster, who do we have up there? We can document on our end if we've got somebody up there that we've never heard of, never seen them before. We can do that.
Oh, yes, Miss Polly, thank you.
And I did talk with one of the 8th graders today that we've heard very little of. So hopefully by the beginning of next week, we'll have him in another school. I didn't mean to sound like that, but anyway. Any other questions as far as iReady is concerned? All right. So this slide right here, I'm not going to go through this entire thing, but this is what I sent out Monday night. And I did it, I know it was late, but I wanted you to come in here Tuesday morning with a plan, with some next steps, because I had a principal's meeting Tuesday morning. I knew I wasn't going to be able to, help, guide a lot of things, answer a lot of questions. So I sent this out late Monday night, and hopefully you had a chance to read it. Just to kind of, I want to kind of hit on some things here. And if you have any questions with what's up here, by all means, ask me. So as the professional expectations, so just make sure, you're arriving by 7:30 every day. Mondays, I know this is get kind of hairy and a little crazy. So if you want to stick to 7:30, that's fine. But anyway, Mondays will still be 7:55. All right, Mondays, I know that's crazy, but I don't want to change that expectation on you right now. Mondays will still be 7:55 for virtual Mondays. In fact, you don't have a virtual Monday next week anyway, so you don't have to worry about it. But anyway, 7:30 will be the time. To kind of give you a little bit of an idea of why I did that, because I know you're thinking to yourself, well, Mr. Mackins, that's not fair. By policy, we are all 7.5-hour employees. I have just been very generous. I know, thank me later. But when teacher work days, I only make you do 7 hours. Okay, so I always require staff, certified staff from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And you're saying, well, why are you making us do 7:30 to 3 o'clock? By law, we are 7.5 employees. So I've just been, giving us the 7-hour thing, because I recognize that y'all all work past your hours anyway. Okay. I do want to hit on this. Just make sure that everybody's out of the building by 4:30. We've got Mr. Ackland back. He's going to work on the cleaning schedule, making sure all classrooms are cleaned like they're supposed to be. Thank y'all for being patient during this first semester. So just, if you would, make sure 4:30 you're out so that they can go through and clean out as much as possible. I will be allowing some jeans days, so don't worry. Other than Friday, I will allow some jeans days. I know it's kind of cold in this building, especially if you're not up and moving a lot. either. This other piece right here, it says staff members are not allowed to eat in the classroom with other members unless you have a shared space. Just not only eating lunch, but snacks, drinking and stuff like that. If you would just do the best, limit that as best as possible, because you just never know. Okay. Y'all are all adults, you know, more so than anything. Does anybody have any questions about professional expectations? If you're typing, continue on. This next piece down here was things to think about. I'm going to ask this question. It doesn't necessarily warrant a response, but just think about it. How has your devices, the devices that were here, how had they already at home with the students? Are they able to do some things? Like I said, don't necessarily answer those things, but if not, we need to go ahead and make sure that we get those devices in the students' hands ASAP. Meals, that was another concern that I had, is sending our students home for 2 weeks, and a lot of them rely heavily on meals. There is our bus delivery schedule that if you need that survey to send out to your students, every week our families have to complete a survey in order to get bus meals delivered to them, but they have to complete the survey. So I think it's nearing the deadline for next week already, but if you would touch base with Miss Mayberry, she can maybe help out a little bit if not, okay?
And also, if you don't mind, if you can communicate with your families about Welcome Middle School has curbside pickup. So if every day of the week they have lunch provided at Welcome Middle School.
Good point. Yep.
Well, there's other schools too, but that's the closest one in Pactolus.
And I think maybe Chicago, don't quote me on that. Miss Lee Brown was telling me maybe Chicago as well. Depending on where you are living in our district, maybe Chicago might be a little bit closer. So Miss Lee Brown just said yes, Chicago. So we got a funky district at Pactolus. Our attendance lines are very oblong, so maybe Chicago might be a little bit closer versus Welcome to some of our families. Okay. All right, so Miss Pilgreen asked about, are we able to deliver devices to homes? I appreciate the enthusiasm with that. I would ask for you not to, for your safety and your safety only right now. If we need to look at something, talk to me and we can look at how do we get that device in their hands if they just simply cannot come pick it up. I don't want to put teachers at risk right now. All right, so this was the last part of the email that I had sent out. This is all self-explanatory, but I just want to provide an opportunity that if you have a question to what I put up here, now would be the time that by all means ask. All right, so I'm going to take the silence as no questions at this time. We are working on getting our report cards out today, so hopefully families will get that by the end of the week. All right, attendance. Miss Mayberry is going to take it from here. You're muted.
Hey guys, okay. So we have a attendance team at Pactolus, and in a regular school year, you know that we follow like the 3, 6, 9, 12 tardy policy and all that. This year is definitely different. And I know that there's been some discrepancies with how we're doing attendance, just because we have virtual, we have face-to-face, and then, you know, we have zone A and zone B, and there's so many different variables right now. So the one thing that I want to make sure that that we're all on the same page with is that the students that are virtual need to have the daily attendance you have to complete that daily attendance the next day by 11:59. One of the things that I found out in a grade level, and I need to adjust this slide, and I apologize, there's a typo right there. One of the things that I realized in one of the grade levels is that the homeroom teacher was submitting the attendance, but it was only for that one class. And so they were submitting it for the children who weren't doing any work for this one teacher, but then the children were doing work for the other teachers. And so they should have been counted present. So you are able to go back and adjust your attendance. I do want to make sure that if a child is working on, is turning in their assignments, even if they're not doing the daily attendance, but if they're turning in and they're completing their weekly assignments, that we're giving them credit for attendance for the week. All right. Make sure that you're communicating also as a grade level for the work completion. This is obviously more for 6 through 8. Just to see, because, you know, if we, like I said, if we have one kid that's doing all of their math, but they just don't like reading, so they're not doing anything for reading, then we need to make sure that all you guys know who is actually doing work, because if they do something on that day, they're to be counted present. Every day at 8 a.m., what we want you to do is to reserve 5 minutes to focus on the attendance, to make sure that it's being coded correctly from the previous day, and just take that time to think about it. And because a scenario would be, let's say that someone, you have one child that comes up with symptoms of COVID. All right. So then we have to go and we have to get the siblings from the other rooms and all of that. I'm sorry. But the thing is so if a child gets sick, the first thing that we do as front office and administration is we go to Power School and we look to see if the child is here. And if the child is counted present in Power School and then their sibling had tested positive for COVID, that puts us in a tailspin up here. So more than everything, we've got to make sure the attendance is coded correctly. So if a child is not present on campus, do not count them present on campus. And the same that if they're doing work offsite, make sure that you code those correctly. Can you go to the next slide, please? And then this is something that Pitt County Schools had put out, that the student attendance will be tracked by student progress. In this area, I want us just to use good judgment. You know, we may have a kid that doesn't do any work on Monday and Tuesday, but on Wednesday goes and does all the work for the whole week. So in that situation, since the child is progressing academically and turning in all the assignments, we need to have that person be counted present. If you have questions, and this is something that's very imperative, if you have questions about attendance, please contact me or Mrs. Moore. Shoot us an email real quick. We can do some background digging, and then we can see if we need to do any further communication with like Miss Lee Bryan to that extent. Do you guys have any questions, or Miss Moore, Mr. Matkins? Did I cover everything?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that we understand that this year, more than ever, attendance is hard to do. Okay, think about this. In a normal year, jokingly, we would say, okay, call so-and-so, let them know they need to do their attendance, right? We have those cool little funny little memes that make fun on teachers not doing their attendance every day. We understand that this year is a whole different scenario, right? You know, you're taking attendance right then and there, and then you're having to go back at the end of the day or the next day and look at attendance too. We 100% understand that, and we are not at all putting blame on anybody or any situation about not doing attendance correctly. That is not at all what we're saying. We know that attendance this year is very, very, very tricky. What we're asking though is if you could just kind of make some adjustments and just kind of see. Perfect example was what Miss Mayberry alluded to. There was last week a student that I got an email stating that a student had been here on campus ended up testing positive. Mama knew that he had symptoms and all those things. It sent me in a tailspin, and everybody around me thought they took about 5 steps backwards because I was about to go off on a parent, as I've already had to do this past couple of weeks. And the reason was because we looked at Power School, and this kid never stepped foot on campus after Christmas. But based off of Power School, the teacher did not code it that the student was present off campus. They just said that the student was present. So here I immediately was going into fight mode, not flight mode. I was going into fight mode because I thought a parent had knowingly sent her kid here with symptoms and a test waiting to happen, and the kid tested positive. So that's really where this discussion about attendance really stems from, is that we understand that this is a difficult thing to do every day. Attendance is something that I have not been preaching a lot, because I know that it is a difficult thing to go back and backtrack and figure out and look at Canvas, look at Seesaw, who's done what. I 100% get that. But we do kind of just need to make sure that we're making a conscious effort to go back and code our attendance correctly, because it is an important thing. Miss Lee Bryan, the attendance team, they're always constantly looking at attendance. And we've got some kids that have 30 or 40 absences right now. So we've got to look at those things. Miss Mayberry, you want to, Miss Brinkley asked a question.
I'm reading it right now. So if the question is if they're just logging into their learning platform or completing work, if they log in and they complete a daily attendance, that would be counted present. The flip side of that, and this is where we just have to use our judgment with each particular case, right? Because you all know your families and you know that situations are different. So if they're completing their work for the week, then we count them present for the week. And there's a lot of gray area here. And I think that's been this whole school year. But if they're doing work and they're doing daily attendance, then that should be counted present. If you have kids that are doing neither, that's when you need to email Ms. Moore or myself so that we can do the background digging and then figure out what next steps we have to do. Does that make sense? Anybody have any other questions? I know there's a lot of questions. Ms. Pilgrim, what do you mean? What if it is all blank?
I've had some that they might only turn in the attendance.
Mm-hmm.
I see that they had submitted it, but they did not do anything to it. And then no other work is done.
Well, then that's going to reflect on their report card.
It does. All right, thank you.
Yeah, we're just talking about attendance right now. But the thing is still, I mean, if there's those children that are only doing the attendance check-ins but they're not doing any work at all, we need to know about those kids too, so we can help you. Anybody else? Well, just email Miss Moore if you have questions. I know that you'll probably have some come up, but just let us know, ask us, and we will definitely be here to support you.
All right. Thank you. All right. The last couple of things here, we're not going to take a lot of time going over, but I just kind of want to give y'all some heads ups on some things so that you can kind of be ready to work on these things. So EOG review plans, like I said at the beginning, is nothing new for our 3rd through 8th grade teams. If you have been here, we've been doing these for the past couple of years. I will go out online, and I think that our EOG review plans that we always do make a huge difference in our testing at the end of the school year. I have seen some great things with our EOG review plans. And for those of you that are not familiar with this, I'll get into it a little bit in just a moment. But I just want to hit on the importance of our EOG review plans. For those of you that did not know, because some of us are probably thinking, well, Mr. Maggins, we're not going to test it at the end of this year. Let's just hold out. For those of you that did not know, high schools tested in December, and they're still testing right now. So testing without doubt will happen. Okay, so we need to make sure that we are prepared and we are preparing our students for testing at the end of the school year. We should not hold out and say, okay, well, you know what, let's just kind of see what happens. Maybe they won't test, maybe they will test, who knows. We don't ever want to rely on those things, especially with what is going on all around the world right now. The high schools did test first semester. They're going to plan to test second semester, and we're going to plan to test at the end of the school year as well. So to kind of bring that together, our EOG review plans have made huge differences in our students and our instruction here at Pactolus. I will say this, and I'm sure everybody that has been here that has done EOG review plans, they are hated. Okay, I'm sure those of you that have done these for a couple of years, you can admit to me, and it's okay, that you do not like doing EOG review plans. I know it, I get it, 100% understand. But it is a good opportunity for us to really focus the rest of the school year. Okay. So kind of give you a timeline of things here. If you look at, this is the calendar that we have. So here we are, January 13th. This calendar has already changed, but we have 70 days into EOGs. So to kind of let that sink in for a moment, 70 days into EOGs, okay? Kind of give you an idea, we are tentatively planning EOGs this week in May, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st. And then possibly next week as well, okay, the following week. So between this day and this first day right here, we're looking at 70 days. 70 days to some sounds like a lot. 70 days to me does not sound like a lot of time. So we just have to make sure that we are very intentional and focused with our instruction from tomorrow to these days that we test here, okay? So I'm gonna hit on these few things, just a few moments, but I wanna hit on why do we do these EOG review plans, okay? So if you look at tomorrow for the rest of the school year, you still have curriculum that you have to get through. That's everybody K through 8. There's curriculum that you have to get through. There's heavy hitters that everybody needs to kind of focus on and make sure that they're doing, along with other standards that may not be classified as heavy hitters. So these EOG review plans allow us to really plan out and be intentional with our instruction from now into the end of the school year. Because you don't want to slip up and you say, okay, you know what, it's January 13th, and then you look at the calendar again and it's February 13th, and then you look at it again and it's April, and all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, I need to go back and do all these things that I did not have a chance to do, or I should have gone back and done this. It's really trying to be intentional with what we do in our classrooms from now into the end of the school year. We know that there are tons of gaps out there. Our students came with gaps already, and then COVID has just increased our gaps tenfold. So these EOG review plans are more important now than ever, okay? We also wanna make sure that we're looking at our time, these 70 days left, and looking and making sure that we're hitting all of our standards, making sure that we're spending time on the standards that are going to be heavily assessed, but also at the same time spiraling back to those standards that we taught at the beginning of the school year that maybe our kids were here face-to-face, or maybe they won't here face-to-face. So just making sure that we hit on those as well. And like I said, they're providing focus and direction for ourselves. These EOG review plans will help us with that. So for our individuals that are new this year, and you're saying to yourself, okay, who does EOG review plans? So this is for 3rd through 8th grade teachers. This is every teacher, math, reading, science, and social studies. We call it EOG review plans, but 6th and 7th grade, Ms. Mayo, Mr. Phillips, you will have NCFE review plans, of course. So what will happen is that the ICs will meet with each individual grade level or person that they meet with, and they will go over these EOG review plans or prep plans expectations. As you can see here, these are the expectations that we had last year. So they may change a little bit. The instructional team will come together. We'll kind of look and see what do we want to keep, what do we need to do. But they're going to go over in detail. Not going to spend the time to do that now. But they're going to go in a little bit more detail about the expectations with your EOG review plans. Okay, as you can see here, it's a lot of good information that they will review with you. Okay, so those expectations will be shared with you. So let me show you what, real quickly for our new people, what your EOG weekly plans will look like. So this is actually an exemplar that Ms. Stanley and Ms. Brody made last year so that you can kind of get an idea of what the EOG review plans look like. So what we always do is we start 10 weeks out. We look at when our EOG dates will start, and we backtrack 10 weeks. Okay. For those of you that are wondering, our 10 weeks are actually, it's 10 weeks from our EOGs actually is March the 2nd. So that will give us a good month of February to put these together. And then we'll start March the 2nd with our EOG review plans. Okay. If you noticed, I've also told you this is 10 weeks before EOGs, 9 weeks, 8 weeks, 7 weeks, all those good things here. So we start here, we will fill this out with the dates and stuff like that, but we also like to put in some other common dates too that could possibly affect your instruction for that week. And then what we do is we look at focus areas, focus standards, your strategies that you're going to utilize that week, resources, what resources are you going to have linked. Then we always make an outcome for that week as well. I'm not going to get too much into this. For a lot of people, this is reviewing. For our new people, you need to have time for this to really be explained to you, and now is not the time to do that. But as you can see here, they'll go through all these things with you. Once we get into week 4, we start looking at more of a daily EOG review plan. So you start to look at, okay, Monday, this is what I'm doing. Tuesday, this is what I'm doing. Whereas this one was, okay, this week, this is what I'm going to be doing. This, these plans right here look at daily. What are you doing? Okay. So know that that is coming. You'll have a lot of questions, and that's perfectly fine. By all means, the ICs, myself, Ms. Mayberry, we're here to support you along the way. But I want you to just be kind of have this in your radar. Like I said, it's January the 13th. These will be due March. We'll start EOG review plans March the 2nd. So that will give us the month of February to get our weekly plans done, so that we can go ahead and start putting those into effect in the month of March. Okay, so the ICs will meet with you later this month to go over these expectations, answer any questions, and then the month of February will be used to really plan and go about that. Okay. All righty. Any questions about EOG review plans? I know there's, that was very vague and very brief. I didn't want to go too much into it because we will have that opportunity later on. But any questions as far as EOG review plans are concerned? All right. So the last part of our meeting today is just kind of some housekeeping things that I wanted to share with you all. We'll look at EVOS predictors. Uniform, this was a concern that was brought up in SIT. So I kind of want to introduce or go over some things with you with that. T-shirt sales, for those of you that have been in the county before, you know, Mark 3 benefits, and then lastly, the vaccination, okay? All right, so EVOS predictors. If you have been a North Carolina teacher before, you know all about EVOS. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I've already printed out for you your EVOS predictors for your students. Now, 4th grade, strangely enough, there are no EVOS predictions for 4th grade. I believe that, of course, has something to do with COVID and all that good stuff, but we have EVOS predictors for 5th through 8th grade and then 3rd grade reading, but we do not have anything for 3rd grade math, like always. And then we don't have anything for 4th grade. I'll get those EVOS predictors for you. Normally, I have you do something with those predictors. We'll do something with it. It will be scaled back a little bit, but I do want you to be aware of it. If you have an EVOS login and you access EVOS, I have already given you access on EVOS before Christmas. I think it was right before Christmas. I gave you access to look at your predictors. In a day and age where we know probably less about our students than we normally would, we have to look at all things when we're trying to help our students be successful. And EVOS predictors are one of those things that we're going to have to rely on. And EVOS predictors just predict what our possibility of our students passing their EOGs this year. Okay. Normally, Miss Mayo and Mr. Phillips, they would have North Carolina final exam EVOS predictors as well. This year, they did not. I imagine that has to do a little bit with COVID. But I did give you access to the 6th and 7th grade reading EVOS predictors. So we'll have some more conversations about EVOS predictors. Like I said, you've already have access to those online. If you've got access to EVOS, you can go ahead and look and see that. If not, I printed it off for you so you can see. Okay. Any questions with EVOS predictors? Like I said, we'll skim some things down, but there are some things I kind of want you to look at with your EVOS predictors. And if you are not familiar with EVOS predictors, then I will walk you through it. All right, uniforms. So this is something that I have not really touched with a 10-foot pole this year, and that's my fault. But I haven't really hit uniforms a lot this year. I haven't explained a lot of things to you all about uniforms, just because I just wanted kids in the building, and with things going on with COVID, that's not always the case. So it was a concern on SIT that a lot of students were not wearing their uniforms correctly. And I wanted to go over some things with y'all so that when kids come back face to face, that we can go ahead and start addressing these things for the remainder of the school year. I will say this. First of all, I am a guy and I am not a uniform Nazi. Second of all, I was a middle school teacher. So once again, I'm not a uniform Nazi, but I do have some non-negotiables that it comes to uniforms. With our community and the challenges and the struggles that they face every day, I'm just happy that they come to school a lot of times. I think it's crazy if they have one miss up with a uniform and they're sitting in ISS for the rest of the day. That's my personal prerogative. Everybody's, got different thoughts about that. But of course, if we address things with a kid multiple times about the uniform and they're still doing it, then we can look at consequences. But I have some non-negotiables when it comes to uniforms, okay? Anything on the head. So hats, hoodies on the heads, toboggans, those need to come off. That is a big stickler of mine. So make sure that when you have students that come into your classroom, usually I stand at the intersection where Miss Jones in the computer lab classroom is. That's normally where I stand, and I make sure that everybody that walks in the building takes their toboggans, their hoodies off, their hats off, all those good things. This year, when we have 3 entry points, it's hard for me to do that. So if you can kind of help make sure that all hats, hoodies, and toboggans, anything else that shouldn't be on their head is off. The other thing this year, solid color pants. This year, they can wear any color solid color pants. I am not a huge stickler on certain things. If it's a line down the side, I'm not a huge stickler. If you want to be a huge stickler on that, I will support you, but I'm not necessarily a huge stickler on that. Like I said, I'm just happy that a lot of our kids show up with something on that keeps them warm. But solid color pants, unicorns on them do not pass. Plaid pants do not pass. A solid color as much as possible. If you, of course, have a question, ask me and I can say, yeah, I'm okay with this, or no, I'm not. Other thing there is collared shirt that is also a solid color. Make sure that students, have that solid color, unless it's a Pactolus Spirit shirt. But they should have that on. Should be a solid, shouldn't be plaid, shouldn't be zigzag, stripes, all those good things. And then lastly, no holes or rips in pants. So Mr. Phillips said, can we add to the uniform list about wearing pants at an appropriate level? Absolutely. Yes. That's something I didn't put up here, but yes, that of course, not showing any skin, things like that. That is, of course, is a non-negotiable as well. Making sure that kids are wearing the clothes appropriately. As you can see here, this is not a long, extensive list. Over the years, our uniform code has gotten more relaxed. And like I said, I'm not a uniform Nazi like some of my peers are. But, you know, if you ever have a question, by all means, radio me, call me, whatever. I will go and look at it and tell you yay or nay. But these are the things right here that I have seen enter our building this first semester. I have not addressed just because there's a lot of things going on, but we do need to make sure that we're holding students accountable with that. Okay. Any questions as far as uniform? All right, moving right along. All right, so t-shirt sale. So what we are doing here at Pactolus is between me and Parrot Canvas, we designed a shirt that I would like to offer to sell for our staff members. Also kind of help with, you know, some money making at the same time. So if you're interested in purchasing a Pactolus State of Mind shirt, this is what the front will look like. It is a black shirt with white writing. And on the back here, of course, it says Pactolus State of Mind, our pirate head in the middle of the North Carolina state there. If you are interested in purchasing a shirt, if you would complete this form right here, and we're going to have all orders due by January the 27th. I know that the month of January is hard on us educators, so I don't expect for you to pay the $15 until make sure you have the money due to Ms. Strong by February the 5th. So when you click on this survey right here, it will take you to the Google form. Of course, I've got to click my name. So when you go here, it's a Google survey, just has the front of the shirt, the back of the shirt, then the size here. Oh, I should probably add your name. So don't fill this out until you see a name up here. I just thought about that. But as you can see, if you're interested in purchasing a t-shirt, they are $15. Please provide a check or money, the money to Ms. Strong. I'll go back and add a name here so we know who is who, okay? So don't fill that out until you see that. So like I said, money is due on the 5th of February after we get paid. Ms. Mayo said, can we get a V-neck t-shirt option? I am not sure if Parrot Canvas has a V-neck, but I will ask and see. My thoughts is that if we have a good number of staff that are interested in purchasing this, I would like to open this up to the students to see if they would be interested in as well. Long sleeve, I'm not sure about long sleeve. I'll look and see. All right, so we got a lot of requests here. We're going to keep it the black just because it helps with cost. So that's why we did the black and the white outline as well. I'll look and see if there's a V-neck option that is the same amount of cost. I'll look and see if there's a long sleeve option as well for the same amount of cost. Okay. All right, so once again, that's up to you if you would like to purchase that, $15. And if we get a good turnout from the staff doing it, then I may open it up to students as well. All right, Mark 3 benefits, real quick. This could have probably gone on an email, but I know we have a lot of new staff here, new to the county, so just want to make sure everybody is aware of this. So Mark 3 benefits, this is just your benefits. It's a requirement that every year Pitt County employees meet with a representative from Mark 3. So they will be doing virtual consultations this year from the month of February. So when you see me send something out about that, this is required. If you're a Pitt County school employee, you do have to make sure that you sign up for a time and talk with them, okay? They help you if you want to change your benefits, all those good things. Lastly, vaccination. So I sent out a notice to make sure everybody completes this. Please make sure that you complete this survey before the end of the day, whether you would like to have this vaccination or not. After a certain amount of time, they'll give me the list of individuals, make sure that everybody has completed the responses. And like I said, I want y'all to do it now. Go ahead and fill it out now, because the quicker they have responses from Pitt County School employees, the quicker they can come up with that plan. Some questions that have kind of been floating out there: how will this look? How will it go about doing it? Will it be very similar to the flu vaccination? I think it really depends on how many individuals respond. If we, a good portion of our population wants to be vaccinated, they may send somebody out here very similar to the flu vaccine. This vaccination is very unique with the storage requirements, so they may send us somewhere to go get it done at the same time. So like I said, I've linked this survey in here for you, same one that the county provided. If you haven't, please make sure that you go ahead and do that as soon as possible, so that the county can get a plan in place. If you heard in the board meeting, they were thinking about next Wednesday, starting round 1. I think that's highly optimistic. I'm not so sure if that will necessarily happen, but I would anticipate, and I have been wrong more this year and more in my life than I've been wrong more than I've been right. But I would anticipate that maybe by the end of the month, we would have first doses going out. So it just really all depends on availability and what plan is put in place. Okay. So that brings us to the end of our staff meeting. What questions might you have about anything, or maybe something that I just recently went over? All right. Well, if there are no questions, you are good to log off, and I will see everyone tomorrow. Thank y'all.